Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition brought to you live from RTD channel. The top series of tonight are the President of the Republic holds talks with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The horrors of Gaza are approaching their third year, and humanity has entered a difficult era, according to UN Secretary General. Welcome back in our newsroom at the Biennial Summit of a Sustainable, Inclusive and Resilient Global Economy. The President of the Republic, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, made a firm and strong appeal for a radical reform of the international financial architecture, which he described as unjust and frozen in the past. Speaking before the United Nations General Assembly, the Egyptian head of state painted a stark picture. He denounced the global financial system born 80 years ago in Bretton Woods, in a world where countries of the South were neither represented nor heard. A system which even today continues to marginalize the global South despite in representing over 85% of the world population. President Guelleh supported his criticism with the figures that were as clear as alarming: an annual financial gap for the Sustainable Development Goals of more than $4.2 trillion and capital costs in developing countries that are 3 to 4 times higher than in the North. This is systematic injustice, a divide that undermines our shared ambition, he declared. At the heart of his speech, President Guelleh emphasized major 48 of the Pact for the Future, which he described as the result of a difficult and intense negotiation and a historic turning point in the collective will to reform Djibouti. Having actively participated in this discussion, strongly defended the need to give developing countries a real, strong and influential voice. The head of state warned the international community failing to uphold the terms of this measure, which he described as elementary, will constitute an acceptable moral and political failure. The time for half measure is over, he said. Now is the time to turn commitments into concrete action. He stressed that a comprehensive reform of the system by making financing conditions more favorable will allow countries like his to continue funding key infrastructure. Consequently, President Guelleh called on the nations represented to work together to reform an international system that we firmly believe is based against Africa's development. In New York, President Guelleh attends the 80th UN General Debate. Let's watch this report.
By the world leaders, New York will host the opening of the 80th UN General Debate this Tuesday, September 23, 2025, a highlight of global diplomacy in the important General Assembly. All representatives of the 193 member states will take turn speaking at the podium to present their priority and concern about the future of the planet. As is a tradition, Brazil will open the presentations, followed by the host country, the United States, before the other leaders take the floor. This year, chaired by German Annalena Baerbock, only the fifth woman in history to lead the General Assembly. This anniversary session will take place under the evocative theme, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. Beyond the formal speeches this week in New York is the focus of a series of high-level meetings designed to reflect on the major challenges of our time: ongoing war, climate change, social division, gender equality, and even ethical questions related to artificial intelligence. All of these issues require a renewed commitment from nations to build a safer and more just common future. Djibouti's voice on the international stage, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, accompanied by his delegation, is actively participating in this work. His presence illustrates Djibouti's commitment to making its voice heard held on the international stage, particularly on the occasions of these historic sessions, which coincides with the 80th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations. On the sidelines of the discussion, the head of state will meet this afternoon with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. This bilateral meeting is expected to address key global governance priority while highlighting the concern of Djibouti and the Horn of Africa's region. President Gelle's visit will conclude with the reception hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump at 7 p.m. New York time and 2 a.m. in Djibouti, bringing together numerous international figures, a symbolic evening to mark the opening of a week dedicated to dialogue, cooperation, and multilateral diplomacy. It should be noted that as part of his current trip to New York, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, is accompanied by a large delegation, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Abdul Qadir Hussein Omar, the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the United States of America and permanent representative of our country to the United Nations, His Excellency Mohammed Ziad Douale, the Director of Multilateral Relations at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Guelleh Idris Omar, and the Diplomatic Advisor to the Head of State, Ms. Fathia Jama Udin.
President of the Republic received by UN Secretary General at UN United Nations headquarters. The President of the Republic of Djibouti, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, was received at the United Nations headquarters by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. This high-level meeting provided an opportunity for the two leaders to discuss several issues of mutual interest, including the current challenges facing the Horn of Africa, effort to promote peace and stability, the alarming situation in Gaza, and prospect for enhanced cooperation between Djibouti and the United Nations. The President of the Republic reaffirmed Djibouti's unwavering commitment to the principle of multilateralism, dialogue, and sustainable development. At the opening of the 80th UN General Assembly, Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that humanity is entering a difficult era marked by a rising instability and human suffering as the foundation of global peace erode. He described the situation in Gaza as approaching its third year of horror and explicitly referred to it as genocide, blaming decisions that violate basic humanitarian principles. Guterres condemned the collective punishment of the Palestinian people and the systematic destruction of their livelihood, calling the scale of devastation unmatched by any other conflict. He urged the immediate implementation of International Court of Justice measures and reaffirmed that the two-state solution remains the only viable path forward. He also warned that impunity and cuts to humanitarian aid are fueling global chaos. And now, at a meeting with the Arab and Muslim leaders during the UN General Assembly, President Donald Trump said that the U.S. is working to end the war in Gaza. More in this report.
To end the war, U.S. President Donald Trump said during a meeting with Arab and Muslim leaders, including the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, that his country will work to end the war in the Gaza Strip. Trump added that the meeting held on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Tuesday was tremendous and the most important meeting of the lifetime. He said at the beginning of the session that this meeting will be important and we will discuss ending the war, perhaps even ending it right now. TRT television reported that Erdogan declared during the meeting that it was not a war in Gaza, but an invasion and genocide, asserting that what was happening in the enclaves was murder, destructions, and forced displacement of Palestinians. The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, for his part, told the U.S. president that the situation in the Gaza Strip was extremely serious. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters on Monday that Trump would hold a meeting with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan. A source familiar with the matter said the meeting would focus on the situation in Gaza. The Axios website previously reported that Trump would present the leaders on this group of countries with a proposal for peace and the future of governance in Gaza after the war. The Israeli offensive against the Gaza Strip, launched in October 2023, has resulted in the deaths of more than 65,000 Palestinians and caused famine. Numerous human rights experts, researchers, and United Nations investigations have considered this offensive to be tantamount to genocide.
At least 10 ships of the Global Resistance Flotilla aiming to break the Gaza blockade were targeted by drone attacks today in the Mediterranean. Details coming up.
Drones attacked ships of the Resistance Flotilla in the Mediterranean. Media sources reported early this Wednesday that at least 10 ships of the Global Resistance Flotilla, which aims to break the blockade of the Gaza Strip, were targeted by drone attack. Explosions were heard, although it was not possible to confirm the extent of the damage to the ships or any possible casualty. For her part, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Palestine, Francesca Albanese, reported that 7 drone attacks targeted flotilla ships in the Mediterranean, following the overflight of 15 drones over several boats en route to Gaza to break the Israeli blockade imposed on the Palestinian territory. Ms. Albanese called for immediate protections for the flotilla ships, given the repeated attacks. The organizing committee of the World Resistance Flotilla claimed via its social media platform to have recorded 13 explosions and extensive disruptions of communication on board the ships. The committee added that unidentified objects were dropped on the 10 boats, causing material damage. The committee emphasized that Israel is conducting a disinformation campaign to justify a possible military attack, considering that any aggressions against this humanitarian convoy constitute a war crime and a violation of international law. Furthermore, sources aboard a flotilla ship reported that drones had dropped an unknown substance emitting a gunpowdery odor over several ships without causing any injuries. This is not the first time drones have flown over the flotilla. An Al Jazeera correspondent reported 2 days ago that reconnaissance drones had again flown over several flotilla ships in the Mediterranean en route to Gaza, which has been subjected to an ongoing Israeli extermination campaign for nearly 2 years.
Back to the capital now, where the Prime Minister and acting head of government, Abdulqadir Kamel Mohammed, received today in a courtesy visit Abdurrahman Rafad Katab, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Djibouti. Mohammed Aden has more.
United for Stability and Development, Djibouti, September 24, 2025, the Prime Minister and acting head of government, His Excellency Abdulqadir Kamel Mohammed, today received on a courtesy visit His Excellency Abdurrahman Rafat Katab, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Arab Republic of Egypt to the Republic of Djibouti. The meeting served as an opportunity to reaffirm the historic ties of friendship and cooperation between Djibouti and Egypt, as well as the shared desire to deepen them. Discussions focused on priority areas such as maritime security in the Red Sea, economic development through the development of renewable energy as well as port, health, education, and cultural cooperation. The two parties agreed to continue their close coordination in regional and international forums to promote peace, stability, and shared prosperity. The two parties also discussed regional hotbeds of tension, particularly in Yemen and Somalia, and stressed the need of increasing coordination to promote stability. Furthermore, His Excellency the Ambassador requested the support of the government of Djibouti for the candidacy of Dr. Khalid El Nani, former Egyptian Minister of Tourism and Antiquities and candidate for the positions of the Director General of UNESCO for the 2025-2029 term, put forward by the Arab Republic of Egypt.
Blue House launches new initiatives to boost volunteering and public health. This morning, the commune of Blue House held its third and fourth joint assembly, bringing together local officials and key partners under the theme of sustainable volunteering. The commune's president, Abdul Qadir Iman, emphasized the importance of civic engagement for local development. A key initiative announced include first aid training for residents to build a volunteer network capable of responding quickly to emergencies. Additionally, a widespread anti-malaria campaign will be launched across all neighborhoods of the commune of Boulogne to raise awareness and strengthen prevention efforts. Let's recall that the meeting was attended by all communal elected officials alongside special guests such as Deputy Mayor Fatouma and Dr. Miad Nasser, Director General of the Public Health Institute. The director of the Public Health Institute, Dr. Miad Nasser, spoke about the ongoing fight against malaria in Djibouti. He emphasized that malaria remains a critical public health challenge and highlighted the urgent need for coordinated efforts. According to Dr. Nasser, collaboration between local authorities, health professionals, and national institutions is essential to implement effective prevention and treatment programs. He also stressed the importance of community involvement and education to ensure the success of these initiatives. The recent joint assembly in the Boulogne commune, where these issues were discussed, demonstrated a strong commitment to improving public health and safeguarding the well-being of all residents. He finally concluded. For his part, the president of Boulogne Commune, Abdul Qadir Iman, emphasized volunteering as a cornerstone of local development during the third and fourth joint assemblies. He did not fail to urge residents to get involved to make Boulogne Commune a model community, highlighting the importance of citizens' mobilization and the crucial role each individual can play in improving community life. According to the president of Boulogne Commune, a sustained volunteer engagement should become a driving force to strengthen social cohesion and ensure a prosperous future for the commune. Mobile medical caravan brings specialized eye and dental care to rural Holhol. As part of effort to improve access to specialized healthcare for rural populations, a mobile medical caravan specializing in ophthalmology and dentistry was deployed into the Holhol Health Post. This mission carried out with the professionalism and dedication aims to strengthen local healthcare coverage during the targeted intervention. Medical teams provided consultations and treatment to numerous patients from Holhol and surrounding areas. In ophthalmology, 60 patients were examined with 15 cases of cataracts identified that require ongoing medical follow-up. In dentistry, 20 patients received care, including 14 tooth extraction that help relieve pain and prevent complication. Turning now to regional and international news, Tanzania is projected to grow by 5.5% in 2024, making it the fastest growing economy in the Southern African Development Community. This growth is driven by a thriving agricultural sector, investment in infrastructure like roads, electricity and transport, and expanding local industry. Rising export and construction projects are boosting sustainable development. Experts expect this momentum to continue, supported by innovation and entrepreneurship, creating new jobs and increasing productivity. Let's recall that Tanzania confirms its position as a regional economic leader with a forward-looking vision for prosperity. The OECD has raised its global economic growth forecast to 3.2% in 2025, up from 2.9%, citing resilience in the global economy and strong investment in technologies like artificial intelligence. However, the full impact of high tariff has yet to be felt and could slow investment and trade in the coming month. Growth is expected to slow to 2.9% in 2026. And finally, maritime companies call for reform of ship fuel emission agreement. A group of major shipping companies has urged a change to a UN agreement aimed at reducing ship fuel emission schedule for approving in October. Their call adds a pressure to a deal already weakened by U.S. opposition. The companies, including Frontline, Saudi, Bahri, and others, expressed a deep concern that the current framework by the International Maritime Organization won't effectively support the maritime industry's energy transition or ensure fair competition. The IMO's draft agreement proposes fees on ships that don't meet the global carbon emission standard. It was backed by 63 countries but faces opposition, notably from the US, which has put for rejection using threats of trade sanction and other measures. So that's it for tonight's news. Thanks for being with us and have a good night.